Radio. This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to the Whisker Report. We're a podcast dedicated to helping anyone in the pet industry, whether you're in animal welfare or running a for-profit pet business, get some PR visibility and buzz for what you do. Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Tan, one of the hosts of the show and the principal and founder of Whisker Media, a pet public relations firm based in Buffalo, Minnesota. I'm also joined by my fabulous producer, Mark Winter of Pet Life Radio, who gets us to you each and every week. Mark, how are you?
Hi, Mary. I'm good. It's hot down here in Florida. And
of course.
No, but it's like really hot this week.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I don't envy you in Florida during the summer months, but I am always, as you know, very jelly of you in the winter. And, you know, that's just something we have to do here in the Midwest. And you know what's really cool is that my next guest is just, I believe, 2 states away from me. If you go down to like Wisconsin, and then she's in Illinois. Our guest today is Candace D'Agnolo, a nationally recognized pet industry expert, business coach, and the founder of Pet Boss Nation. Through her coaching programs, events, and retail expertise, Candace has helped independent pet business owners across the country strengthen their brands, grow their communities, and create more profitable businesses. With years of hands-on retail experience and a passion for empowering entrepreneurs, she's become one of the leading voices in the independent pet space. She also is the new store owner of Dante and Dory's Pet Emporium in Galesburg, Illinois. Please welcome Candace. Hey, Candace.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, so everybody in the pet industry knows you. I mean, you are just the queen of independent pet stores. And I love how you call all the members of Pet Boss Nation your pet bosses. And so people who don't know you or what you do, can you talk a little bit about yourself and how you got into what you're doing?
Sure. Well, I've been in the industry for almost 25 years now, in just the pet industry. And when I launched the coaching part of my career, it was about 10 years ago. Actually, Pet Boss Nation is turning 10. And when I launched it at the time, there really wasn't anybody who understood exactly what these kind of mom and pop businesses go through. You know, there were people willing to help them, like the manufacturers and a lot of experts, but they hadn't, walked the walk. They didn't know what it felt like to get that bad, online review, or to have people not show up for work, or to see a brand that you got really behind, and support for years, just go to the mass, big box stores, and what that felt like. So I knew what they were experiencing. And I knew that when we invest in ourselves and in our business education, that new doors open up, we can run profitable businesses. And, there's the expression, especially in a lot of coaching worlds, but in ours specifically, is that, a lot of people get into the pet industry because they're passionate for the pets, or whatever pet they had, or whatever issue they were facing, they couldn't find a solution for, so they created something. And we're all passionate about it, but not a lot of us know how to read profit and losses and know how to manage the money and the cash flow, or know how to do marketing. And so I, at the time, was going through my own ups and downs, and I invested in a lot of those things to make my businesses successful. And over the years, I ended up being able to successfully sell 3 separate brick and mortar businesses. And at the time, most places would just close or kind of retire. And so I thought that was definitely something different. I was doing something different. So when I was no longer like a competitor of people's, I could start to help them with their businesses, and realize that it wasn't so much even that they were, maybe they knew what to do or had tried stuff, but there was this sense of, even loneliness. They needed community. They needed a kind of access to talk to somebody, not just a software they could tap into and learn from. And so that's really where Pet Boss Nation began to evolve. It became this awesome community of now thousands of people, not just in the US, but in Canada. And we, and my podcast, Pet Boss Podcast, is streamed in 81 countries. It's really become this identity, which is why we call them pet bosses, right? So that's, obviously there's been a lot in the mix. I write for the trade publications. I speak at the trade shows, but in the house retreats and different in-person workshops. But at the end of the day, I wanted to support mom and pop businesses in local communities because local pet owners need access to people who are very knowledgeable about their pets' health and wellness. And also just because I love local businesses. So.
Wow. Well, you are an incredible resource for independent pet stores. And, it's just interesting when you go to the trade shows and I talk to some of them, I feel like they're all really tired.
Yes.
Like they're excited about what you do, but they're exhausted. And then when I talk to them about PR and marketing, it's just like, just another thing I have to deal with, besides trying to compete against the big box stores. Now, I know in the big box stores, they got huge marketing teams and, their PR teams at the big stores are huge, and they got 40 people doing social media. So how do you tell your pet bosses to approach marketing and PR?
You're right. We are exhausted. I can say we now because I'm back in it and with my new brick and mortar business, and we're 7 months in, and I keep saying to myself every day, like, I do not know how people do this, right? Like, it's like the demands of your time and your energy are very high, and information comes at you a lot, right? Like all of the influx of, that what we should do in our business, brands, customers, your employees, and it is a lot of noise. And so I like to kind of relate that just back to what consumers probably also feel, right? There's all this noise to them. And it's about, I think, for any business, how frequently you can be seen and be heard in that noise to stay top of mind, however that looks, right? And, we also like to say that you can't be your town's best kept secret. I mean, that might be like an old traditional like marketing tagline, but really we don't want you to be a secret. You need to be out there in your communities. And so I think when there's a lot that you can do, and we focus on this inside our programs, like we've got Pet Boss University, and we just are actually revisiting some of this now, but it's really understanding who your customer is first, right? Like not every pet owner is your customer. And we recently, with Dante and Dory's, but also with our Pet Boss Nation clients, did a customer survey. And we at Dante and Dory's had about 140 people take the survey over a 1-week period, which I was really impressed by, was not expecting that. And what we found in the survey was that our majority customer is between the age of 25 to 44, which is a lot younger than I thought. And they have multiple dogs. Almost 60% of the people who took the survey have 2 or more pets. Sorry, I shouldn't say dogs because they're pets in their family. And 25% had 4 or more animals. And I was really blown away by that. So then the point of really getting to know that customer and who you're really serving and who your ideal customer is that now you can create that marketing around it. And it was really surprising to me because now, while yes, I could cater to, hey, a new pet owner, my core customer in my local community is a female between 25 to 44 who has multiple pet household, right? And now I can kind of speak to that person. So I think getting clear on who you're marketing to and then going where they are, right? Like you've got to be where that customer is. You shouldn't try to be everywhere. And then we encourage people to just, get really good at that one direction they pick. Like maybe it's that they are going to be at every community event, or that they're going to have a great booth and they're going to talk to people. They're going to, sell products and invite people back to their business, whether that's a trade show booth or a community booth, right? Depending on what kind of business you have. It could even be then that, okay, I know that Facebook is still, like, we surveyed our customers, right? And had them pick their top 2 most used, like where they spend the most time on the platforms. Facebook still won, hands down. Like 70% of people still picked Facebook as one of the top 2. And then it was Instagram, and then TikTok and YouTube were like neck and neck. And so, okay, well then I'm just going to prioritize Facebook and Instagram right now. I'm not going to stress out that I don't have a TikTok account. I'm not going to start either. I'm going to leave that for later. But I'm very clear because I know I can't do it all because we don't have those big budgets to be everywhere. But what we can do, I know we want to do well. Then with the PR part, I mean, there's so many opportunities, now, especially in, I guess it probably really depends on your market, But, I'm having success here in local market, in a smaller market. But I know you have clients that have been in large markets that have leveraged PR. Actually, when I go back and think about my career in Chicago, I worked with a PR company early on who got me on all of the local news stations for all of the pet costume stuff, all the pet parades, all the adoption stuff. We were there with holiday guides. We did all that back in like 2006, maybe 2009. That was a long time ago. But in those markets, you have to get up early. You have to get to those news stations really early because it goes live before, the national news comes on. So I remember a lot of, 4 a.m. like calls
Yes.
to get there, So, when you were on my podcast recently, we shared you had so many great ideas too about how local businesses can just tap into that local media network because they're all looking for content. And I think that's one of the, biggest, hurdles that we can help our local pet businesses or really anybody get over is like, just put some information together and find the newsworthy spin and put it out into the universe and see what happens,
Yeah. And, just for another idea, like every time there's a trade show, I will pitch to the media like, hey, I can come on and talk about, the top 10 pet trends I saw at Global or Super Zoo. And the manufacturers are more than willing to send you a sample that you can showcase. And I think every pet owner every pet store, independent pet store owner has like so much knowledge and could easily do this. And I just feel like, like you're so busy, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're so busy managing people, getting the bills paid, getting inventory and stuff that I feel like a lot of times the PR and marketing is at the end. It should be a priority, right? I mean,
well, it's yes, because we can't make any money if no customers are coming through the doors or booking their appointments. And I think that's where a lot of times any business, they could even be an online business, but it's like they think that they'll build it and they will come, right? And that's just not the truth. I've seen it in my own brick and mortar too, where we're on a corner spot in downtown, and we opened, but we were waiting for our exterior signage to get up. And it took 2 months to get what we needed. There was a delay, but once the exterior sign came up, our sales tripled almost instantly. You're like, okay,
wow.
I had signs in the window too. And I had my Google business profile and we were doing social media and I had my website, but it was like, people just needed to know like they were actually right outside. And then, thinking about what other things, like right now we've got, the store's getting dialed in, we've got these things happening, but I can't control, and this is for any business really, right? Like we can't almost control how many people are going to buy from us in a given day or week or month, unless we have really have a strong like subscription model kind of thing, or consistent retain, clients that you retain. But we have days where we might have 10 people all the way up to 100 people. And, you want more days where you have 100 people. But if we're not actively getting out in the community, right, getting online, running ads, doing different things, getting that press, doing the marketing, those new customers are not going to be coming by. We are just waiting for them. We're not being strategic and intentional about it. And then if we're not marketing to the existing customers that we do have that have visited us a couple times, then somebody else is going to capture their attention because our competitors are marketing too. So while it is oftentimes put on the back burner by many businesses, it is critical. And I, think that maybe people are afraid to be the spokesperson for their business. They're afraid to get on camera still. I mean, Mary, we've seen a huge shift. There's been a huge shift in people being more comfortable with that. I mean, now, especially with younger entrepreneurs coming in, and we see a massive change from when we both first started, but
yeah.
There are still people who don't want to have they still have the animal on their Facebook profile instead of themselves, they still have, and I'm like, nobody knows what you look like, how are they going to recognize you around town or in your store, or they won't connect their business's page even to their Facebook, their personal Facebook page. It's like, these are three easy little things.
Yeah. And the key here is the most important thing, I think, in PR and independent pet stores is people want to know the the face and the person behind the business.
Yes.
I feel that that's even more important than the mascot, the animal that it's named for. People want to know, what qualifications does this person have to sell me these products? Well, when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Candace about prioritizing PR and marketing. How do you do that? We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
And we are back with Candace D'Agnolo. And Candace, tell us, okay, so you've got all these things you got to do when you own a store. How do you help people prioritize? What advice do you give them to make sure that they are doing PR and marketing?
Well, if it's not on the calendar, it just doesn't ever get done. So we have to start blocking time out for sure. That's and I know that that's simple. It's okay, this is the stuff. I mean, I feel like that's not simple, but it's kind of the basic thing. Let's get it on the calendar. But I think if we can create some frameworks for our time to say, on Monday, I'm going to work on all my marketing plans and save time for when you make that block of time to go, okay, I'm working on what are my immediate deliverables for this week? And then how am I thinking about the future? Because the work that people are doing, the work we're going to do right now, the work you and I are doing right now, right? Recording this podcast, putting it out there. This isn't going to necessarily turn into an immediate sale for us, but it's building that relationship that bridge where somebody might go, hey, I want to work with one of them. They've seen us now, they feel more comfortable with us, they're going to do that. So the work that we're all doing as businesses on our marketing in this immediate day is going to be impacting our future sales. And the work that then, how our today's sales are impacted is what we did yesterday and in the past, right? So that's why we have to spend some time on what are the immediate, what pictures do I need to take for my posts that are still going live today that I didn't, or who do I need to respond to? But then you have to think about that future planning. So putting it on the calendar, having, and holding it sacred if you can, getting support. For me, I love working with people. So I will get more done when I just pay to have someone next to me that we could work together. It would just sound silly, but I just do. I need to bounce ideas off people. I need to be typing, we have to be taking the pictures, the ideations, we're contacting people while it's all happening. It's a very group dynamic kind of work session. And I thrive in that. So, but I have to plan for that because I have to rely on other people's schedules to be there with me too, so but I just know that now about myself. But I think, prioritizing it is that you have to create a schedule, just like if you would prioritize anything, losing weight or, seeing your friends and family or paying down debt. We have to make a plan. You just can't wing it. Okay. And then once you have that plan, good things will happen, right? They just will. Because if we go back to PR, right? And it's PR, I mean, I'd love to end up hearing your definition of it, but essentially it's actually, go ahead and tell me, what's your definition of PR?
Well, I consider PR really kind of a testimonial when other people say good things for you and you didn't pay for it.
Right.
So it wasn't pay for play, but maybe it's a news station, maybe it's a pet blogger that you reached out to, a micro influencer. It's when people say good things about you and you didn't expect it, or you sought after, but they gave you a glowing recommendation. And there's nothing more flattering and more effective than somebody else saying something great about your business.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So when we are, working on our business and getting out into the community and not just paying for that booth space but going and talking to the other vendors, thanking the person who coordinated the whole thing. You're just being like a person that other people want to do business with, kind of, I think, and then you're building those relationships. PR is a lot of relationship building. And so you just never know where those will lead. And I've seen it happen in both, not, it's kind of like networking, I guess, but I've seen it in both like the Pet Boss Nation world as well as now in Dante and Dory's. In the Dante and Dory's world, what has happened is because I did send a press release out, and we had in the very beginning working with you, right? We sent the press release out. Our local radio station had us in for one of their morning segments. So I came in with my manager. He brought Dante and Dory, the dogs, into the studio so we could, capture some other content. And, I have, because of what I do and just with some of the skills I've had, I'm very comfortable talking off the cuff, on camera, on microphone, whatever. I don't get nervous by that, where a lot of people might. But I go into that situation. We have the interview. It goes well, right? They're like, this girl's great. This woman's great. And then it seeds for him. I want to bring her back. Like, I want to have her come back sometime. So then once our store opens, he's a cat dad, like one of the main reporters. He comes in and he's like, I would really love if you, or actually didn't say it. He's like, would you ever be interested in maybe like a pet tip of the week? Like just a quick little soundbite. And here I'm going, you're not going to charge my business this? Sure, for sure. I'll do that. Right. So we kind of
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it gets better, Mary. It gets better. So he goes, okay, well, let me get this is my idea. I need to get it approved by the radio station. Right. I'm like, okay. So it kind of gets thrown back in his court. He does talk to some people. I'm checking back in and he goes, we've just all been so busy. I know they're interested. Why don't you just record some stuff? Cause I was like, I could record at home. What do you need? Like 90-second things, 3-minute things. He's like, just get some stuff down. And then I'm going into the holidays. I didn't have much time to really focus on this. And, the business was starting to grow. And then it became this thing where I was like, oh, there's this free opportunity I have not taken advantage of to raise awareness because I was so busy. Right? Just like everybody else. And I would run into him now and he's like, hey, I really want to revisit that again. Even other people who worked at the station were like, Jay was really interested in that. Like, where's the status of that? And I'm just kicking myself. I just didn't have the time. Now, when I recently made a new hire to help support the business and marketing and operations, one of the things I tasked with her was like, I just need you to get this on the calendar. Like, contact this guy, get this ball rolling again. I need to get in the studio. I need to know what the plan is. Do not let me drop the ball on this. So just because somebody put some, attention to it, we were able to revisit it. We had the meeting at the radio station. At that time, they decided they wanted to turn it into a podcast. So they want to make a podcast that would drop, on their website and that would go onto Apple Podcasts. And then they would just pull snippets of it to maybe drop throughout the week where they needed some content. Well, I'm like, great, that's fine. We'll do weekly 10-minute, 15-minute things. So I pick it. We find a day to go and record. I go into the radio station to record. And when I sit down there, now this next radio host has now talked to the general manager for the 3 stations. And they want to turn it into a weekly show that they put on air.
Wow.
They're like, so the commercial break, they had to teach me all those commercial breaks and stuff. And it was like, recorded like there's going to be ads, just record it. And then we'll break that down and put it into a podcast. We just don't know where yet it's going to go, but we want you to have a weekly show. And I was like, oh my gosh, like again, for free. I'm giving tips. It's still Candace from Dante and Dory's and, come in. We're happy to talk with you about any of the questions you have. As long as it doesn't get too salesy, I think we're good. But here's the thing, Mary, is that I know that they know that I have contacts, and so do all these listeners here, of people who could become sponsors, right? So they probably know that
Right.
down the road, they're going to get some ad sales from this, from pet food brands or whoever, might be things I carry. So I know that they see they're not, and I'm donating my time. They don't have to pay me as a personality or my time, right? But they're getting, it's kind of a barter for now, knowing that there could be future money, if it goes well. And they're excited because it's just their station right now is all like agriculture and sports, like local sports. So they're excited because they know that pet ownership, is
Right.
so dominant. But they're like, I know they're excited because they're like, our listeners are going to just like love this. So all that to be said, that now we know, okay, now if I can own the rights to the show and how do we regionalize that? And then How do we, bring in, I could go now maybe to those other markets, the bigger markets like Quad Cities and Peoria, and say, go to those TV stations like you were recommending and do the post-show gift guides. But now because of that radio show, I have more credibility with those stations, and they're like, okay, so it's all, but it layered. It didn't start there though, right? It just started with that first press release about a group show, but that we were going to do this. And then it was the relationship building and taking up opportunities, that come to you. So you just never know where to go.
That's an amazing story. And it's proof that you can do PR for yourself.
Yeah.
That's one of my missions too. I can't help everybody, but there's a lot of independent pet stores can't afford to hire a PR firm on a monthly retainer. That's just insane. So that's kind of one of my goals. But we're going to take a quick break again. And when we come back, we are going to get a few more tips and tricks from Candace.
Talk to the paw.
Hi, this is Amy Shore.
Hi, I'm Jane Lynch.
This is Mandy Bourne. Hi there, I'm Kate Walsh. This is Catherine Heigl.
There's only one station that gives you the scoop on wagging tongues and tails. And who's walking who in Renton and Tinseltown. Pet Life Radio, the tail wagger.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And we're back with Candace. So, Candace, tell me, what was one of your biggest, we just talked about this amazing story that you just told us about how you got PR for yourself. Have you ever had the opposite happen? Have you had any negativity, negative reviews, which is all kind of PR as well?
Very. This needs to be a whole other podcast, probably. Yes. So I think one of the ones that was the worst and like physically, I'm like getting sick even thinking about it. And it was interesting because it came from an angle of I was getting advice from attorneys. I had my own feeling of, doing marketing. I was like, I think I know what I should be doing. But because there was some legalities in it, the attorneys were like, I think that you shouldn't make a statement almost, right? So it's like crisis PR, right? You're very
right.
You know this. So I had a business in Chicago called Dogaholics. I owned the trademarks for every reason for that word to be used in the pet industry, except as a dog rescue, because I didn't have a dog rescue. However, so I'm in Illinois, in Chicago, and then over across state lines in Indiana, there was a rescue that started called Dogaholics Rescue, spelled slightly differently, but they would pull from the Chicago pound, like they were very integrated into the Chicago rescue world. And when they first started, I didn't think it was a big deal. But then we started getting a lot of phone calls for owner relinquishments to our phone numbers. We started getting people asking for like what our hours were for adoptable dogs. People in the Chicago, I already had a business for 10 years in Chicago. People thought that I started that rescue. And so now there was this confusion in the marketplace, and I didn't know those people. I didn't know if there was like if they did something bad or something like that, it would be my brand reputation. It's kind of foggy. So we approached it with trying to get a hold of them, calling them, leaving messages, emailing them, telling them that they were infringing on our name and that we would do anything we could to help them transition to a new name. Like I knew, because I was in the rescue world too. I was on the board of a dog.
Wow, that's so nice.
Oh no, it was nice. It gets worse, but then they weren't so nice. So I ended up offering, I was like, I know how expensive it is to, you probably have your logo on merchandise. You have your logo, all, your website's been done, you're going to have these costs now and changing. So I will pay for all of that. I will pay to
What?
Yes, I offered.
Wow.
I was like, I will pay for you to get new stuff, but you need to change your name. Crickets. No message. I think somebody responded I think maybe somebody was like, we don't have to do anything and you'll just hear from our attorney. Like somebody said something like that. And then I got my attorneys involved and we started sending just them some letters. And we were like, please respond to this. Here's what we're doing. We need your response. We need your response. Maybe 6 months to a year go by. No, they're not responding to anything. But now it's escalating, right? The phone calls, the drop-offs, the confusion is escalating. And so my attorneys were like, I really think that we need to go to a judge. We need to get them in court. And so we just need to heighten it to get their response. So the letter that the attorney sent was like, we will see you in this court and you, the judge, we didn't say this, but the judge might require you to pay, our attorney's fees. Well, that got them to speak up. I go to bed. I wake up the next morning, I look at my cell phone, and my social media person is like, get on the internet. Like, basically, like, you need to get online immediately and shut down what's happening. And I'm like, what's going on? So this rescue decided that they would go to their followers and make a statement that Dogaholics in Chicago was forcing them to change their name or they'd have to pay me $10,000. And they were like, so what should our new name be? And their followers and everybody went crazy. Okay. So I'm waking up to all these bad reviews, right? Everyone's leaving us bad reviews who'd never been at the business. Everyone's leaving us Google, Yelp, Facebook bad reviews. They won't respond to my messages to them. I think I should make a statement on their post. I don't. So then I'm trying to talk to my attorneys. They're like, just wait it out. It'll be a few more days. But now it takes over a week. It took about a week of this whole experience. Over this week, they are now calling news stations in Chicago. Their people are going to come picket outside of my doggy daycare. I have an aunt in California who sees it and is like, I think that this is my niece's business.
Oh my God.
So it's getting crazy. So then I decide, okay, what can I control? So I do make a statement and I put it on my Facebook page. I did this earlier, probably that day, because I could see everyone commenting on everyone else's posts. And I said, people are really angry. They need a place to come. And so I put my own statement out and I said, comment here, this is where it's at. And so everyone got to be really mean all on that thread. And then when it was over, I could just delete the thread, right? But it gave the people who wanted to be haters a place. Now, then eventually what ended up happening, I didn't eat all week. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. Because then I realized, I'm getting more damage to this brand I built in this short period of time than it's worth to even deal with this. So I finally got the rescue people on the phone after about, I think it was 4 or 5 days. And then I caved and I basically was like, okay, they think they changed it to like, I don't even remember now. It was like I don't know. It was like the spelling, they changed it enough or something. But I was basically like, shut your people down, you could calm them down. And so anyway, it ended up being, it didn't really hurt our business, I don't think, because I mean, it's still continued to grow, but it was that time and that energy of like the online trolls and anger of it all. And I felt like I didn't know who to turn to from a professional perspective. Like I knew at the end of the day, as the owner of my business, I was the only one. My employees were nervous for that. Like,
right.
They thought people were going to like really show up and picket or like bother that people were calling. Like they didn't know how to handle it. And and the attorneys are like, don't say anything. We'll just get them to court. They'll be forced to change. And I'm like, it was just a lot. So at the end of the day, what ended up happening too is that those relationships, some of the other rescues in town that knew that they were basically going to bat for me, which was awesome. They came, almost every rescue in Chicago went on their social media pages and made statements about me, that they were like, the owner of this business would never do that.
Wow.
She loves rescue. She's given more to rescue than any of you have probably ever done in your life, so it was great because she has every right. They would stick back up. She has every right to do this because it's her brand and her trademark and they were infringing. And, so it was nice to see that the community did those common sense like, people that got it, that weren't emotionally charged, like that. Oh, but it was chaos. Yeah, it was a really rough week.
Can I just tell you from my experience, I feel like the animal rescue community is some of the worst on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen it a lot lately because I am not in that I'm not in that a lot anymore. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I see so many crisis situations come out of animal rescue, and it's just because people are passionate.
Yeah.
So,
that's the bad side of PR.
Yeah, exactly. I actually just had a situation where at a boarding facility, an employee killed a dog. That was another crisis communications, which also falls under PR. PR is very enveloping. It's so many different things. And I love to pawn social media off to others, but it's really become, when it becomes a situation like what you went through, it really is PR. And I can just tell you right off the bat that I often get in arguments with attorneys. And we can usually, though, find a go-between typically.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting ahead of it now, I know any situation can be an employee. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, you have to be, in my opinion, you've got to be the first one out to make a statement that at least is this, here's the facts. And to also be, if it is your fault, like remorse, like what, be honest and remorseful and have empathy, like whatever it is, if you need to, but just at least be the first one to start controlling the narrative. It's like
absolutely. Yeah. Well, we could talk about this for hours, but I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you, become a pet boss, or, tell us where your store is and how pet parents can support you there?
Sure. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So if you're a pet professional and you want to, if you're a pet professional and you have a local business, you're looking for support and community and education to grow your business, please visit petboss.com. There you have our different programs, different levels. We've got group coaching, an online portal full of resources. I do one-on-ones, and that is really geared towards that local pet business owner. Now, but if you work in the pet industry and you're listening, no matter, distributor, sales rep, whatever you are, we have our Pet Boss podcast that you can find on all platforms, as well as a free Facebook group community that you could join. And then for pet parents, we have, we're in Galesburg, Illinois. Don Tandoori's is in Galesburg, Illinois. And honestly, if you should come, because we have a Pancake House, Judy's Cafe and Kitchen, that has gone viral. That is our number one tourism attraction. And she's just down the road from me. And I even have the little Judy's dog pancakes. So,
my gosh,
go to Judy's and then stop and see us at Dante and Dory's. But, you can shop online too over there.
Oh, so awesome. Well, thank you so much with sharing all your wisdom. I mean, you are a true pet pro. Like, you go to these pet trade shows and everybody knows Candace. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Whisker Report. We're so excited to be doing this for all of you out there who are working every day to make life better for animals. So do you have a question you want us to answer, or we can pass questions on to Candace as well? Or do you want to be featured on a future Whisker Report episode? Reach out to me at mary@whiskermedia.com. And as we always say, bark loud and purr smart.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.